The national anthem is no music.
Which one? Yes, it's back to its nutrition.
It's a race between you and David.
That's fine. We'll take that.
So who's winning?
Oops, okay.
You've got,
We got it down there. Thank you, councillors, and welcome to our March council meeting. I'd like to say a warm welcome to everyone tonight, and also to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we meet tonight and pay our respects to their elders from past, present and emerging. So thank you, councillors. I have an apology from council of this tonight's meeting. Are there any other apologies for the meeting tonight? Thank you. And councillors, we'll move into the confirmation of the minutes of the previous meeting, which has been circulated. And I have someone to move those and second those minutes of the previous meeting, please. Councillor Simpson to move. Councillor Milne to second. Thank you. All those in favour? Thank you, councillors. Are there any requests for leave of absence at this stage? No, thank you, councillors. Do we have any declarations of pecuniary conflicts of interest for tonight's meeting? Thank you, councillors, staff. Thank you. We haven't been advised of any questions from the public, so we'll move into the agenda at this particular stage. We have a recommendation at 7.1, report of council briefings. Council note the report of Assembly of Council meetings held on the 3rd and 17th of February 2021. Someone to move those and second those, please, councillors.
happy to do that, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Milne, councillor Geffner, second that. All councillors, are they in favour of those? Thank you. Against? Thank you, carried. We don't have any letters of congratulations listed at the stage of 7.2, but does any councillor have a letter to congratulate or note something of importance in the community? Councillor Pollard.
Thanks, Councillor Warren. You're a bit sleepy like me, eh? I think we should write a letter of acknowledgement to Councillor David Clark for being elected as chair of the MAV board. We look forward to him working for the next couple of years.
Thank you, Councillor Pollard. I think that's a really good idea. It seems to be quite a resounding election result in terms of the numbers that came through. We have someone to second that motion. Councillor Stewart, thank you very much. Any councillors opposed to the motion? No, thank you, councillors. Any other letters of congratulations, councillors, that you might like to move forward on? Thank you. 7.3, correspondence initiated by council. Council notes the record of correspondence initiated by council and the responses received. We have a number of items there already listed. Do we have any updates on staff as to where they're at, perhaps?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and perhaps through you, I think we discussed at the last meeting that perhaps these at the end of their useful life and perhaps they be removed from future meetings. We have had meetings on site with Grain Corporate Regional Roads Victoria, so follow-up action has come from the letter. We haven't had follow-up correspondence, but it certainly has been action, and our engineers are working with them. So that will go into the budget mix for Vic Roads to fund. And there was a follow-up funding to the mode shift incentive scheme. It wasn't all that we required, but perhaps we strike that, and that continues to form part of the platform that the Rail Freight Alliance, which we're members of, work through. So my suggestion, Mr. Mayor, is that we strike these from future Dennis.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Councillors, do you concur with that particular course of action?
Yes.
Thank you, councillors. 7.4, planning application procedure, monthly update. The council note information contained in the report of planning applications under consideration by staff on the status of each of these applications. Mr. O'Toole, do you have anything to add to this?
No, just a procedural report every month, Mr. Mayor, just highlighting the planning applications that we have in train and the permits that we issue to date.
Thank you, Mr. O'Toole. Any questions from Mr. O'Toole on this particular update? Have a councillor to move and second this particular update?
Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Gethley to move. Second it. Councillor Simpson to second. Any councillors opposed? No, thank you, councillors. Carried. 7.5, building permits monthly update. We note the information contained in the report on building permits approved by staff from 1 February 2021 to 28 February 2021. Mr. O'Toole, anything that you want to bring to our attention?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, just perhaps to highlight that in a very busy time in building and planning, where a number of applications are being received, reflecting the development that is going on across the Shire at this stage.
Any questions, councillors?
No.
No, thank you. Do we have someone to move this report?
Happy to do that, Mr.
Mr.
Mayor.
Mill, someone to second that report? Councillor Popeye, thank you. Any councillors opposed? Thank you, councillors. Carried. 8.1, policy reports related to party transaction policy. I'll take it, Mrs. Hugh might introduce this.
Thank you. Through the Mayor, Council is required to adhere to an Australian accounting standard related to related party disclosures in the preparation of its year-end financial statements. Council's related party transaction policy is a key control to ensure that Council meets these requirements under the standard, including by nominating the positions which meet the definition of key management personnel. The policy has been reviewed and endorsed by Council's Audit and Risk Committee and is presented to the Council this evening with a recommendation.
Thank you, Mrs. Hugh. Councillors, are there any questions of this particular point in time? No? Thank you, councillors. So I have a recommendation that council adopt the related party transaction policy. Do I have council to move this, please? Councillor Pollard. Seconded, Councillor Simpson. Thank you. Any councillors opposed? Thank you, councillors. That's carried. 8.1.2, review the COVID-19 financial hardship policy. I think Mrs. Hugh falls to you again to introduce this. Thank you.
Thank you. Through the Mayor, councillors will be aware we introduced the COVID-19 financial hardship policy shortly following the declaration declared state of emergency in early 2020. The policy was in place for an initial period of 6 months and was subsequently extended for a further 6 months in September 2020. Since the policy was introduced, only 14 ratepayers have applied to enter into arrangements under this particular policy. In view of the limited take-up by our ratepayers, and also being mindful that at the last council meeting, council resolved to adopt the rates of financial hardship policy, it's proposed that council resolve to rescind this particular policy and apply provisions of the existing hardship policy.
Thank you, Mrs. Yu. Councillors, any questions at this stage? No, thank you, councillors. So I have a recommendation that council rescinds the COVID-19 financial hardship policy when it expires on the 31st of March 2021. Do I have a council to move this particular recommendation? Councillor Pollard, thank you. Seconder, Councillor Gethley, thank you. Any councillors opposed? Thank you, councillors, that is passed. Management reports, 8.21, community grants and sponsorship. Take it, Mrs. Harris. We'll probably introduce this.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm pleased to present to you the before, we've had one application for our community grants stream in the previous month. This particular project is about celebrating and connecting young professionals in the Buloke Shire. And through the Buloke House, this project looks to pull together a steering group to have a launch event to establish a young professionals group for the cohort of 19 to 35-year-olds, capitalising on the returners we've seen following 2020. So this comes to you with recommendation that council allocates the $2,000 towards this project.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Councillors, any questions? No? Thank you. So we have a recommendation, councillors, that council allocates the following funding under the Community Grants and Sponsorship Program, $2,000 project support to the Burgess Neighbourhood House. Do I have a councillor to move that recommendation? Councillor Stewart to move. Councillor Simpson to second. Are there any councillors opposed? That is carried. Thank you, councillors. 8.2.2, the Local Government Act Implementation Progress Report. So it's the Chief Executive Officer might tell us how we're doing on this one.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess the reform agenda that's being driven through a new Local Government Act has taken up a lot of the workload of both council laws and officers in the time since really before September, when the first due date for a lot of our actions were required. We felt that it was pertinent to bring a report just to highlight, I guess, compliance against elements of the Act and how we're tracking against some of those that are outstanding. So many of these items have been adopted or endorsed through council, and so this is putting it together in a table against the due date. It's worth noting in this report that council does intend to incorporate the municipal health and wellbeing plan into the council plan. There are synergies between the two, and we believe incorporating it is probably the best outcome for council. We did this in the 2017 Act as well, and councils are obviously aware of the work that we've got underway with the community vision, the council plan, and obviously the preliminary work on budgets as well. So we bring this report to councillors for their reading.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Any questions, Mr. Judd, at this stage?
Just one, Mr. Judd, do you believe that we'll have it all completed in the time frame allocated?
Through you, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Kelly. It's a good question. The challenge remains, obviously, with some of those items where we're shooting for before the due date. So for items like the community vision, which the Local Government Act set out for the end of October, we think that there's synergy in bringing that together with council plan, budget, and community plan as well. So we're shooting ambitiously for hitting those timeframes in progress. I believe we're on track. We will bring another report of this, or an updated report to council within the next 6 months. So the second half of this calendar year, we'll bring another report just to track how we're going, so council remain informed on how we're tracking.
Mr. Judd.
Thank you, Councillor Anthony. Any other questions, councillors? Thank you, councillors. We have a recommendation. The council note the progress against requirements of the Local Government Act 2020. Do I have a mover?
Happy to move that, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Gedley, a seconder. Councillor Stewart, thank you very much. Any councillors opposed to the recommendation? That's passed. Thank you, councillors. 8.23, expression of interest to the Regional Infrastructure Fund, the Buloke Play Spaces Trail. King of Kids, Mr. Bradshaw, I'd like you to introduce this person.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you, Council has recently undertaken a place-based strategy, which has identified the economic and tourism benefits of developing a place-based trail, which would support and augment other tourism offerings such as the Silent Light Trail and the recently completed Lake Tourism Infrastructure Project. Following on from some advocacy from staff and councillors to Regional Development Victoria and other bodies, Council has been invited by the Minister for Regional Development and Agriculture to submit an expression of interest followed by a funding application for $2.6 million to be able to undertake this project. Mr. Mayor, council's contribution, matching funding for this project would be $200,000 spread across the next 2 financial years. Mr. Mayor, there's a recommendation in 2 parts in front of council for their consideration.
Thank you, Mr. O'Toole. I'll open questions from the floor to Mr. O'Toole. Everyone happy to have a play? That's good. We have a recommendation that council notes the submission of an expression of interest ahead of submitting an application under the Regional Infrastructure Fund for the design and construction of a play space trail for $2.6 million. 2, considers the contribution of matching funding of $200,000 for the project across the 2021/22 and 2022/23 financial years in the development of those capital works budgets. Do we have a councillor to move this recommendation? Councillor Stewart to move, thank you. Seconder? Councillor Point. Councillor Point.
I thought councillor Simpson beat me by a whisker.
Okay, can we go to the slow-mo replay, Mr. Fitzgibbon? Councillor Simpson to move that. Anyone opposed? No, that's carried. Thank you very much. And an exciting project out of the pipeline, no doubt, in the future. 8.3.1, the financial performance report as at 31st of January 2021. Mrs. Hugh, would you like to enlighten us how the bank balance is going?
Thank you. So now I'm pleased to confirm the bank balance is looking good. Cash and cash equivalents is reported at 18 million for this period. So I'm presenting the council's financial performance report for the period ending the 31st of January. We're noting there's little variation anticipated in operating income and expenditure following the recent forecast adjustment in December of last year, noting that the revised estimate downwards of costs associated with the December 18 flood restoration event has reduced operational expenditure and also operational income by about 2 to 3 million. Highlights in particular with these reports is the first capital works program we've been able to present to councillors within this financial year, and councillors will be pleased to note that it highlights completion of the actual infrastructure project and also the early years centre. We've also commenced riverfront projects in Donald and Charlton, the Charlton Early Years Centre and the Birchland Streetscape project.
Thank you, Mr. Hugh. Councillors, any questions on the financial performance at the moment? Everyone's comfortable? So I have a recommendation that council receives and notes the financial performance report for the month ending 31st of January 2021. Do I have a mover?
Happy to do that, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Milne move. A seconder. Councillor Gedley, the second. Anyone against? That's carried. Thank you, councillor. .4 organisational reports. Have we got any organisational reports at this stage? 8.5 reports from councils. Councillors, I'll move to Councillor Gedley to see if you have a report, Councillor Gedley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For the month, I attended the listening posts across the Mallee Ward as well as Charlton, Manstream Lake meeting, and Nullarbor Progress Association meeting, Community Forum Summit, and just the regular council things.
Thank you, Councillor Gedley. Councillor Milne.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Also attended a couple of the listening posts, didn't get to as many as I would like to have, but certainly got to the ones within the ward, and have a number of other things. Buloke Tourism Board, Sunraysia Highway Improvement Committee, Loddon Valley Waste Forum, Donald 2000, which was an opportunity to get to that after the listening post. Don't often get to those. And a couple of Watch and Progress committee meetings, as well as a walk around Watch them for some small projects to put on the list for things to be done. Certainly the Loddon Valley Waste Forum was my first go at that, and I see there's been some communication from the mayor today about manure waste and those sort of things that we've certainly got people asking about. And it was brought up, I did bring it up at that waste forum to get some clarification on the tonnages that are allowed and the potential down the track to have the land that's manure is spread on declared contaminated. And as yet, I haven't got an answer on that. There was a hookup available a couple of days after I made that request, and I was unable to get to that work commitment. So I'm still waiting on that. So there is a real interest from our farmers and intensive animal people as to what I'll be allowed to do there. So certainly the SHIC, the Sunraysia Highway Committee meeting was an interesting meeting in that we had, I'll get to the right page. Apologies. We have again pushed the issue there for the roundabout in Birchip, as well as overtaking passing opportunity lanes south of St Arnaud on the highway through to Ballarat. That they form probably our major works or pushes going forward. The Sunraysia Highway corridor strategy, hopefully from the Department of Transport, will be out March, April for comment, and we're looking to see what that might have in store for us. And also the review of the principal freight network is still to be completed, so there's a bit of work to be done there. The other good news is that I think we get our second cut along the edges of our highways this year, which we've been pushing for some time, and apparently hasn't come out in writing yet. It's going to happen. So we look forward to that, Mr. Mayor, and I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Mill. Councillor Buloke.
I'll just send them indeed on tomorrow. We heard all about the microgrids at the last briefing.
Thanks very much. Councillor Stewart.
Yeah, I don't have anything to note from my attendances on the list.
Councillor Simpson.
I will send it through to everyone, but the 10/6 of the listening post 7 this summer, and the late tour presentation. I've done a Zoom for climate change presentation and virtual forum meeting, and I attended the Central Vic Greenhouse Alliance in Charlton.
Thanks, Councillor Simpson.
Mr. Mayor, just before you go on, as no other councillors have mentioned it, and I forgot to mention it, the Community Forum Summit held here. Can I say that it was has been well received by all who attended that I've heard of? I haven't heard of a whinge or a whistle. Certainly the attendees, from what I can understand, enjoyed the format and enjoyed the not much preaching. Although some said it is nice to know what's going on, to hear it from the source. But from all reports, a well-run show, and congratulations to staff and everybody that was involved.
Thank you, Councillor Mill, and I think all councillors echo that. It was certainly an incredible night, and as you say, something different, and we like something different. Change is as good as a holiday, so to speak. The mayoral month has been punctuated with a variety of type of activities, certainly the listening post right across the Shire, a trip to Bendigo to the launch of the Lee Logan Murray, always muck that up, but anyway, Murray launch at Bendigo. We've got a participant this year, Joe there, but just one that was encouraging. I was invited along to the Wimmera Region Filipino Association barbecue in Donald on the 21st, pleasant Sunday evening, so to speak. by Arnie Side. Arnie is a local Donald resident, but also is now the president, the chair of the Filipino group. And look, it was encouraging to see around about 40 Filipinos who would come from everywhere, not just from Donald. And they make a huge contribution to our communities. I mean, a lot of them work as diesel mechanics, a lot of them work in our intensive ag industry, etc., and they're all out there. And the good news is there seems to be a lot of young kids and also soon to be young kids going around there. So they're certainly helping us attract people, which is great, but a great, relaxing thing, and people who really enjoy being in Buloke, and they're very supportive of what the council's doing and all those sorts of things. So it was really good. So it's just one of those things where you see the community and you see a different aspect of the community, the people we want to try to attract that come here and bring their families, start their families and move on. So I'll pass that on the rest of it to the staff to include there. Councillors, 8.6 matters which may exclude the public.
I move that we receive these council reports, Mr. Mayor.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Councillor Pye and Councillor Neal. 8.6 matters which may exclude the public. We have a recommendation that pursuant to section 66(1) and 2A of the Local Government Act of 2020, the meeting be closed to the public to consider the following reports that are considered to contain confidential information on the grounds provided in section 3(1) of the Local Government Act of 2020 as indicated. Do I have a councillor to move that we go in there? Councillor Pollard, thank you. Second, Councillor Neal, thank you. Anyone opposed? Thank you. We'll now proceed to close the meeting and go into the confidential section of the meeting. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Fitzgibbon. Other business, councillors. 9.1, notice of motions. I've received notices of motion. 9.2, questions from councillors. Councillors, this is your time to fire some questions. Councillor Tellson.
I have nothing, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, councillors. Do we have any urgent business? No, councillors? Is there any other business? Nothing, councillors? Well, having no other business, I declare the meeting closed at 7:39 and look forward to seeing you at the next council meeting in April. Thank you, everybody, and good evening.